another day, same old thing, same old job.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is your girl, Angel Vegas, and this is Sounds for the Soul Sunday, and this is the official interview with Aziah. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, I know you have a pretty severe and deep testimony that you wanted to share. Would you want to go ahead and share your testimony with myself as well as our listeners?
Sure. So, I guess for a long story, when I was introduced to pretty much death and anger at a very young age, and my father was murdered when I was 4 years old. So I remember that night in details from the day he was shot. So from then on, life was kind of like a roller coaster. From a very young age, after my father's funeral, my sister and I went through some things that children should never go through, and for that, my sister lived with, we kind of lived with shame, I guess you could say, shame and anger. And when I got to a certain age, I made it a point that no one was ever going to touch me again. And but my sister never dealt with it properly, or whatever, how she dealt with it, and she ended up committing suicide. After that, by then I already had accepted Jesus in my life when she passed. She left behind 4 beautiful children.
Oh, wow.
And so I was just so angry as a kid. Finally, when I was 19, before my sister's suicide, I was 19 years old. My ex-wife was pregnant with our 3rd child, and she wanted an abortion. We were constantly, always fighting. We were together since we were 15, and we're now 19, working with our 3rd. She's pregnant with our 3rd child, and she wanted nothing to do with me because I was an idiot.
Oh,
I'm just be upfront and simple. I was young, stupid, and immature. I didn't know how to be a man because I never was taught how to be a man. I learned how to sell drugs. My grandmother taught me how to sell drugs. She pretty much, taught me how to use a digiscale and everything like that. And this was my mama's mom.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I learned how to sell dope at a very young age. By the time I was 13, I was already selling dope for my uncle and my grandmother, and just doing that. And in and out of jail. When I got locked up when I was 14 for robbery. So just in and out of jail since I was a kid, just a troubled youth. Anyways, back to Priscilla. My kid's mom was pregnant with our third child, and someone told me about Jesus and how he could change my life, and I was just like, whatever, bro. Like, I didn't believe in God, because if there was a God, why, it's the same questions that everybody's always asked them. Like, if there's a God, then why are bad things happening, or why do bad things happen to people, or why does God take good people, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I was asking all the wrong questions, and so I ended up going to church with this dude because he was alone. I got a loan for 2 G's. I gave her the money for the abortion. The abortion was set up for February 5th, 2010. And February 4th, 2010, we walked into a church, and I was introduced to a God I didn't believe.
Oh,
I didn't believe it existed,
Yeah.
And for 10 years, from 19 to 29 was the longest period of time that I had peace in my life. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed becoming a father, learning how to be a man, learning what a man was in the Bible, learning what a father was, just being everything that I wish I had growing up. I was able to become that. And then I watched it all slip away in a matter of moments. And I did something stupid, and that made me lose my family. For 10 years old, my kid's mom did accuse me of cheating on her every day, and I'd be out working, and in the middle of the night, I'd be working on the power lines and stuff like that, restoring power, and she would be thinking I was at the bar or at the club or anything like that. And when I wasn't, I was actually sitting in a truck with another dude telling him about Jesus at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Okay.
But she didn't believe that, and eventually that took its toll, and I did something stupid and I lost my family. I made a decision, to commit adultery, and I lost my family. For that, I paid the ultimate price, and but I gambled and I lost,
Yeah.
And I spent the next 5 years in my own spiritual prison, literally, to the point where I started battling suicide again, just like my sister, and I started not wanting to live anymore. And my kid's mom moved on. A month later, she moved on with the dude that she had moved in when she had been with him for the past 5 years. She moved on like nothing, you know. And come to put, I think now I think about it, like maybe something, I don't know. Maybe she already had somebody, you know what I mean? And she just kept pushing me to do something that I was gonna regret, you know. And then use me as the scapegoat. But anyways, I can't prove that.
Oh wow.
I digress. But I digress. So yeah, I spent 5 years. I made up for 10 years that I was sober. My doctor had told me I made up for drinking in 1 year. My drinking, I made up for 10 years of being sober. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was drinking so much, so depressed that I was drinking so much that I was already showing signs of cirrhosis of the liver in just 1 year. So my doctor was like, "Yeah, you made up 10 years in just 1 year." And then when that wasn't strong enough, you know, when I started blacking out, I was like, okay, well, I can't be blacking out while I'm driving, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I started, you know, going back to the hood and you know, doing Holly again, doing Posse and all that stuff, and just started partying again. And when that wasn't enough, I started, you know, using meth, and I was just down spiral, just a down spiral. And then till finally I was walking down a highway in Memphis, Texas. I walked all the way. I walked a little over 30 miles.
Mm-hmm.
It took me all night. I walked 2 towns and over 30 miles, and then I could hear my kid's mom, her voice when she would get angry with me. She would do everybody a favor and just kill yourself like your sister. And she's supposed to be a Christian woman.
Wow, that's.
And yeah, and so I heard her voice as I was walking down the highway, like vivid. And I was like, you know what? And I was angry with God, cussed out God the entire night. And because I didn't have no other options, you know what I mean? I tried everything, and I was so miserable and alone. You know, I lost my children, my family. Being a father was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And then for me to lose what God had given me, I pretty much, I felt like I threw it away, and I deserved to be treated in that spiritual prison that I was in. And so anyways, I could hear Priscilla, you know, my kid's mom, just telling me that. And I ended up walking down, cussing out God down the highway, and I found a noose. I found a rope that had fell off a truck that was laid out in the way of a noose. And I was like, all right, I took that as a sign. I was like, all right, God, that's what you want. You know, since you have no room for me in your kingdom, right? Or you have no room for me to live for you, you know, to have peace. So when I get home, I was planning on walking home to San Antonio because I didn't have any transportation. I got stranded out there in Memphis, Texas. And no, so I put the rope in the backpack and I kept walking. And then finally, I was walking down the highway about 2 hours into that walk, and I pretty much was done, tired, cussing out God the whole entire time. So I called out the devil, and I was like, pretty much telling straight up, like, God's not here to protect me. You know, where you at? You know, and I was calling him a little B and all this and that. And out of the corner of my eye, I'm walking on the access road, Highway 37, and I saw something like stalking me from behind. You know, and then I look up, and the full moon had turned into a blood moon. And I'm like, maybe I'm just looking down because I'm walking on an overpass and a bridge, and it disappeared behind a tree. And then when I got past the overpass, this being stepped out, and it was all dark. I couldn't see its face. I could just see it was a figure like a man, but its head was the shape of a deer, or like a moose, and it had a full set of horns. And I remember just black eyes just staring at me, just like, you know what I mean, as I'm walking past it, and every hair on my body stood up, and I'm like, and after I just got done cussing out God, I said, Jesus, I need you.
Right.
And I started walking fast, right? And I ended up walking like another 6 hours. I made it to the next town, which was Three Rivers, Texas, where I couldn't walk anymore. And by this time, I was still cussing out God. But I remember picking up a bluebonnet because they were blooming that time of year, back in March. And I picked up a bluebonnet, and I kind of twirled it in my hands. And I sat it down as a marker right wedged between the barriers of the overpass. And then I said, well, am I going to walk home to San Antonio just to kill myself? I can just jump off this bridge. And I decided to time the 18 meters, and I was timing them, And by this time, hundreds of cars already had passed me throughout the night. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And because I literally was walking one town away from Corpus Christi, Texas, back to San Antonio, Texas. And so from Mathis to Three Rivers, I walked, and time in the 18-wheelers. And then I sat down and started crying, like, man, God, like, why can't I be forgiven, or why can't I forgive myself? You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and I just continued. I just continued to sit there and cuss out God and cussing him out. And I said, you know what? I'm done. Like, this is it. Like, I'm done. I already had, prior to that, I already overdosed a couple times, accidental and on purpose. I had attempted a couple suicides that failed. And yeah, so this time was like, this is it. Like, I'm gonna go through with it. Like, you know what I mean? So I was timing the 18-wheelers. So I got up. I got up from where I was sitting at the overpass, watching the cars pass below me, and I got up from where I was, because if I would have jumped where I was, I probably would have just landed in the grass, like maybe broke a leg or something, been pissed off at the hospital.
Right.
So I got up.
Yeah.
I got up to where I was just, you know, where I could time it just right. And out of, like I said, all the cars that passed, as soon as I don't know why I grabbed my bag to take it off of my shoulders and put it on the ground. But as I did that, I happened to look down, and when I was looking down, someone was looking up from beneath me. I mean, was driving underneath the underpass, and we made eye contact. And this lady she kept driving. She kept driving. And I had tears in my eyes, and I looked up and I said, "See, God, nobody cares. So why do you even care?" And as I said that, I was ready to slip into eternity. I was like fractions of a second, nanoseconds away from just falling off that bridge. And as soon as I said that, right, that lady had turned around, and right before I fell, she had stopped her truck and looked up and said, "Jesus ain't done with you." Those are the words she yelled, right? And argued, and she started saying, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, you know, so I was like, "Keep the thing, get out of here," you know, like, I don't want to. You're messing up my moment. This is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, this is like, to me, that was like Hollywood stuff, you know, like this is my time. This is my time to shine, you know.
Right.
And but in reality, you know, she stopped and she told me that Jesus wasn't done with me. And her testimony was the exact same testimony as mine. And she had committed adultery, you know, but Jesus restored her marriage, you know, and stuff like that. And down to the point where her to the occupation that she did was the same as mine. You know what I mean? She worked on electricity as like I do. You know what I mean? To down to the very detail of my life was her exact life, except she was a female. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
And she was telling me, you know, I only work in Three Rivers, Texas once a week, and she worked in Corpus. She designs sketches like I design. I've designed, you know, blueprints for the power lines and stuff like that, as well as worked on them. So she was designing them. And she was like, I work in Corpus, and she goes, I'm only here once a week. She goes, and this is crazy is I forgot my badge today. I was supposed to be at work about 2 hours ago, she said. And she was like, I forgot my badge to get into the building, so I had to drive all the way back to Corpus Christi. And she was like, I had to go all the way back to Corpus Christi. And she goes, but when I got home, I got my badge, and something told me to make a pot of coffee. And I was like, what? Like, I was tripping out. I was sitting in the grass crying, you know what I mean? Because I was just about to kill myself, you know what I mean? I was just about to jump. And she's like, something told me to jump off. Something told me to make a pot of coffee. And she's like, so I make the pot of coffee. And then she was like, and then I drank the pot of coffee. And she goes, and then at the exact same spot where I remember I forgot my badge, you're about to jump off when I came back. And she goes, you can't tell me that's not God. You can't tell me that's not divine intervention. There's no coincidences in the kingdom of heaven. And she goes, if I would have never listened to that voice, I would have went straight to work. You know what I mean? Someone else could have badged me in, and you would have been, you know, you would have flatlined right here. And she's like, but by the grace of God, I forgot my badge. I went home and I made a pot of coffee when I wasn't even wanting coffee.
Right.
You know, and I think, yeah, and she goes, and so everything that happened that day, it transpired. That really changed my life to give me back a purpose to live and to want to breathe again.
Right.
That's pretty much my testimony as far as I could make it.
Wow. So
there's more that's in between that I left out, but I didn't want to be skipping back and forth.
Oh no, you're fine. I mean, you're able to share with me as much as you want, or whatever you feel that you you would like to share, it's up to you. It's totally your discretion. So,
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
I have a couple questions pertaining to what you just shared with me. So,
Okay.
what emotions come up for you when you're talking about those difficult times right now? I mean, how are you coping? I mean, how did you cope just now by telling me your testimony? What was going through your emotional realm? How are you feeling?
So as far as the emotional realm, how I'm feeling right now, I feel peace. To be
Yeah.
honest with you,
Yeah.
prior, I could tell you before I re-accepted Jesus into my life, I get all emotional, man. You know, and I wouldn't be able to, I'd be stuttering maybe, but
Yeah.
now I'm at peace with everything that's transpired, and
Okay.
I've learned to forgive myself. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. That's the
So,
hardest. That's the hardest thing to do ever for anybody. I know that.
of course, yeah, forgiveness is tough. It's
It
rough,
is.
and it's not an easy road to walk.
It's really not. No, you're absolutely right about that. So, turn yourself back into God's hands. Would you say like that alone is that what's helped you cope through all of your pain and trauma that you've experienced?
mm, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you can't say yes and no, because in reality, yes, it's because of Christ, right, that I'm able to walk in this peace, and I'm able to cope with life again, right?
Right.
But at the same time, God is not a crutch,
Yeah. Right.
He's much more than my crutch,
Exactly.
he he's my everything, when
Yes.
when I made things my idols, like when I made my wife my idol, or I made um, drugs or anything else my idol, they were my gods. I did anything to get them, but here, my relationship with God is different. You know what I mean? I didn't
Right.
go looking for Him; He came looking for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people
Absolutely.
say I found God, but no, in reality, God found you. You
Right.
know,
Right.
He left the 99 to find the one, and I left. I walked away from the ministry 5 years ago, and
Right.
He came looking for me, and He found me on a bridge on 37 South
Yeah.
in Three Rivers, Texas. You know what I mean?
I'd have to have to.
Running from Him.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, that was definitely God right there. He had you for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And
So,
it's just, it leads me to another question, but it's like, why? I've asked God, like, why am I spared, not my sister? Or
I
did you try to save her like you try to save me? You
right.
know?
And brother, let me elaborate my feelings towards that. I from the depths of my being, my condolences. I apologize for your loss, and I can't even imagine. That's that
She was my
was
bestie.
right. You know,
That little traviesa was my bestie.
right. So the
Yeah.
song. So let's speaking of on your sister, the song that you had wrote, it's called February 7th. That was
Hmm.
the song that you wrote about your sister, correct?
Yes.
When you were writing that song, like what were you? Was it easy for you
Man.
to express all that?
No,
I wouldn't
not at
think so.
all.
Right.
Not at all. It was because February 7th is the day she died.
Okay.
Right. That's the day she committed suicide.
Okay.
February 7th, 2014.
Oh wow.
Uh, so I had only been a Christian 4 years. I got
Mhm.
saved in 2010. So I
Mhm.
was only a Christian for 4 years. I was still a baby in Christ. I was still learning. I'm still learning. You know what I mean? I'm not
Right.
saying I'm better than anybody, but I'm saying I was very, very new to the faith still. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when I wrote February 7th, it was 2 years. Uh, I think it was no. I think I wrote it 2 years after she died. So
Mhm.
I hadn't processed nothing. Um,
Nothing yet. No.
my pastor at the time, that was the first sermon I preached was at her funeral,
Right.
and my pastor at the time, he told me, let the dead bury the dead, bro. Like, who cares? Pretty much is what he told me, you
What?
know. And yeah, so he was
Wow.
like, I remember it made me so angry because my sister was my best friend and she followed me everywhere except to Jesus,
Yeah.
and And then for my pastor, you know, the man of God that I looked up to, tell me, you know, let the dead bury the dead.
Wow.
You know, that kind of put my heart in a place. Was like, like wow, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I sucked it up, and that was the first sermon I preached was at her funeral, and when I wrote the song, I happened just to stumble across the beat. The beat was already called February 7th when I came across it, and I cried writing that entire song.
Oh man.
And God, I happened to be reading the Bible, and I didn't have a chorus for the song. And one day I just picked up the Bible, and I don't randomly open the Bible and just pick a verse and read.
Right.
But that day I didn't have a chorus, and I was praying. I was like, God, I need a chorus for this song, because I was in a performance that night.
Right.
So the same day I recorded it, I performed that song that exact same night.
Wow.
So I didn't even have time to rehearse it, to remember it. I just went in and straight up recorded the track and dropped it, and then went to a concert and did it like an hour later.
Wow.
And
Wow.
but I cried the entire time, and I opened up the Bible to the Book of Psalms. Right now I can't remember the name, remember exactly in Psalms where it was, but the chorus is actually a psalm that David wrote.
Right.
And I used that as the chorus. That was the perfect chorus. That was straight from God. I know that. But yeah, that song, it still gets me emotional when I hear it sometimes. Not all the time, but on the days like today,
I'm sorry.
I cry sometimes.
I actually that's one of the songs that you had shared with me that it brought me to tears, definitely.
Yeah.
It was everything that you had spoke on, and it was just it was like raw truth. You know what I mean? It was deep. Like I can hear the pain, and I think that's a song like you when you express yourself with your lyrics. Anybody that can listen to that song can like feel what you were feeling, like the pain and the hurt, you know, like the grieving, the grief, and that song is it's a great song. You know, it's sad, but it has something that you're saying in there, and then it's in memory of your sister, and but it definitely brought me to tears. Just so you know that, let me tell you that.
I appreciate that.
All of your music actually is. I like all of it. You know what I mean? It's you're real deep with your words, and you definitely know how to express your feelings through your lyrics. So I mean, like, I call an artist like you what I would say would be like a lyrical therapist, because your music is definitely lyrical therapist. You know, lyrical therapy. You know what I mean? Because like that's the kind of music that people all over the world can hear and listen. Know that if they're going through the same thing, they know that they're not alone. And that's real music.
As I sat back and self-reflected, thought of how it came to this. The memories, the tragedies, the misery and pain inflicted upon my sister and myself. See, our father passed away. He was murdered in cold blood and taken too soon. From the protection of our father, she was 2 and I was 4. So that made us easy prey, cause we couldn't run away. Now this may seem too graphic, but it happened for some years. We were used and abused, neglected and molested by the ones we had trusted, until I made a promise to myself that I would kill the man the next time he would try to put his hands on my sister and me, cause I was done falling victim to his wickedness. Yet my sister moved away with my mother and I stayed with my grandfather. But her horror never ended, continually molested with no hope of a protector to save her from this prison. But with you, God, see the trouble when afflicted, you consider their grief, and you're taking hand the victims. They commit themselves to you. You're the helper of the fatherless, the helper of the fatherless. But you, God, see the trouble when afflicted, you consider their grief, and you're taking hand the victims. They commit themselves to you. You're You're the helper of the fatherless, the helper of the fatherless. Now when I turned 13, the courts had given me a choice to either stay with my grandfather, live in San Antonio, or move with my mother, live in Harker Heights, Texas. So I made the choice to move so I could be with my brothers and my sisters. But the damage had been done. She would battle with depression. She was filled with all this anger mixed with hatred and pain. We used to sit and write poetry together, talk about our future plans, living this life in the past. But when I got arrested, we slowly went our separate ways. She started slipping even further. She was crying out, but no one seemed to hear her, never bothered to try. I wonder why. I guess they thought that she would always overcome. The war that was raging on was killing her slow. She started drinking more abusively and overdosing off of pills. She didn't wanna live, cause she felt like the only man who cared for her died long ago. But with you, God, see the trouble when afflicted, you consider their grief, and you're taking hand the victims. They commit themselves to you. You're the helper of the fatherless, the helper of the fatherless. But you, God, see the trouble when afflicted, you consider their grief, and you're taking hand the victims. They commit themselves to you. You're the helper of the fatherless, the helper of the fatherless. Fast forward a few years, now she's 22 with 4 precious children, jumping from bed to bed, hoping just to find a fraction of the love that we were told about so long ago. Chasing after happiness that was never found, always fighting with the fathers of her children, finally hanging on by a thread. She made a real selfish decision, decided to try to be set free from the walls of the prison set within. So she got drunk and hung herself. She took her life for a man who never really loved her. Used to tell about the love of Jesus Christ, but she would always argue, tell me that the Christ was never real. I would tell her Jesus Christ is truly real, cause he took all my anger plus my pain, my frustration to this life I was living, and he filled me with the joy and the peace that I've been searching for. But she never would listen to the message of repentance.
Yeah, I would always tell my sister that you're not gonna find what you're looking for in the men, in the drugs, and the alcohol, and the pills. You're trying to look for peace, you're trying to fill that emptiness that is inside your heart, but she would never listen. She took it upon herself to end her life. But what about you? Are you gonna listen? Are you gonna turn to Jesus Christ and say that I tried everything? I tried the drugs, the alcohol, the pills, the men, the women, and I can never find peace? Are you gonna turn to Jesus and ask him to become your Lord and your Savior? Because he can change your life tonight if you give him that chance.
But with you, God, see the trouble when afflicted, you consider their grief, and you're taking hand the victims. They commit themselves to you. You're the helper of the fatherless, the helper of the fatherless. But you, God, see the trouble when afflicted, you consider their grief, and you're taking hand the victims. They commit themselves to you. You're the helper of the fatherless, the helper of the fatherless.
That's something that we as human beings, I think we tend to forget, and
Exactly.
we isolate ourselves and believe the lie from hell that we are alone.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
in actuality, the enemy has done that, to almost every other human being in this world. You know what I mean?
Right.
To get them to believe the lie that they're alone and no one's gonna help them in the situation.
Exactly. This is the saying, like, so it said that the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. Would you say that your music is your life's meaning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's the mural that I'm painting. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
It's like I say it a lot. Paint is art. You're gonna see my mural before I leave this earth. I'm gonna make sure of that. I'm
Right.
not trying to sound conceited or
Oh no, not at
anything
all.
like that, but unfortunately, life gave me lemons.
Right.
And I'm gonna make what I can with it. I'm gonna throw those lemons, chop them up, put them on some tilapia. I'm
Right.
gonna make some lemonade or something.
I
I'm
feel you.
gonna make a 3-course meal with it.
There
you know
you
what I'm
go.
saying? So
I believe that in
So-
you. So you just
so,
answered
yeah.
another one of my questions just right now. I was going to ask
Okay.
you, so like, if you could leave the mark on the world that preceded you, what would it be? So you're saying that your music would be
Yeah.
your mark on the world that preceded you. Awesome.
Because where's that power? You know, my sister and my dad and my grandfather, they all got blessed with being able to draw.
Yeah.
And you know, and create this beautiful artwork. And I didn't get that blessing.
Well, you got the other one though. You got
I
the
got
one.
lyrics. I got
Yeah,
words. You know
lyrical
what I mean?
therapy. There you go.
Yeah. And
You can paint the picture with your mind and your words, and that's amazing.
But when I was before that, to answer that question about leaving your mark, I used to say, well, I still kind of have this saying, but now it really I don't pertain to it anymore. But I used to say before I knew Christ, I would say, what is your definition of life? I used to say my definition of life was, you know, my life, right? My LIFE, right? Life,
Yeah,
right?
right.
I used to say my legacy immortalized for eternity. That's what I used to say my life was. Right?
Okay.
That's what I was saying before I met Jesus. That was like when I was rapping, doing secular rap when I was like 16 till I was 19. You know,
Yeah.
doing secular rap. That's what I used to say. My life is my legacy immortalized for eternity.
Oh wow.
That's what I was trying to leave my, you know, and it's just an
Yeah.
abbreviation of life, you know.
Right.
And I was actually gonna make an album called My Life, you know, but then the Game came out with that song My Life, and you kind of ruined it for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I remember that. Yeah. I do believe we all have a purpose. God has a purpose, a way of life when He gives us our life from point A. You know what I mean? And He just gives us all these obstacles and situations and circumstances to see what what we do with them. I get that. You know.
Yeah. Well, the Bible says that the rain will fall on the just and the unjust, right?
Right.
Meaning that life is going to happen to the rich, to the poor, you know,
True.
to the ones that are focused, the ones who are ignorant, you know, to what's going on around them.
That's true.
Life is going to happen.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, but that's just because of the product of sin.
Right.
You know, but it's what you do with that, right, is what I believe makes
Absolutely.
it beautiful. You know,
Absolutely.
and I can see from your accomplishments already, you already have accomplishments. You know,
Well,
and
I have
you're
not
finding
many.
reasons to
But
finding reasons to have your legacy. But I think you've sealed your legacy already. You know,
yeah.
you have it. You got it. You know what you want to do. You know what the ambitions of your heart are. So you got to go for it.
That's the truth. Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. Okay, so let me get back to a couple more questions. So like, do you think that the trauma that you went through and the experience that you have, the things that you've experienced, do you think they have shaped your perspective on life and influenced your relationships with others at all? I mean,
Yeah, most definitely. Good. It's good and bad because I learned at a young age that the world ain't nice. You know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You know what I mean?
right.
I learned at a young age that the world will spit you out. You know what I mean? Eat you up and spit you out. You know, from my father's murder, you know, to being molested as kids, to you know being I used to. A lot of people would say I was a troubled kid, right? But in reality, they didn't know that I was breaking into homes and I was robbing things, stealing things because I was trying to feed my sisters. You
Right.
get what I'm saying?
Right.
So when mom was busy doing her thing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Who else had to step up? Someone had to step up. You know what I mean?
Right. So,
And
are you the oldest
there's
of your
times.
siblings?
No, I'm not the oldest. Actually, I'm the second born. And
Oh, really?
my brother's doing 25 right now in prison for killing one of his friends, for shooting one of his friends.
Oh, wow.
That's a whole other ordeal.
Right.
A whole other conversation.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, I could say yeah. Everything that I've experienced in life, it molded and shaped me into the man that I am today. I can say I'm a strong man. I'm bold. I guess I pop off at the mouth if I want to. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, not at all. No, feel comfortable. I mean, I want you to share with me as much as you feel like you can share. I mean, this is all about you, you know, and your journey through your life and your music and you know, your testimony and everything that. So yeah, please do share everything and anything that you want to share with us. We're listening.
Yes, I have. I don't trust people. That's my biggest thing, Andrew. I don't.
Right.
I've learned not to trust people, and I've learned that for many years, and this is something I'm still trying to work. For many years, I've learned that if I keep people at a certain distance, I won't be disappointed when they leave or when
Right.
they die on me. You know what I mean? Like I said, my father was murdered. My grandfather passed. He took me in after my mother. Out of 4 children, my mother gave me away to my grandfather to raise, and he raised me until he died from cancer.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was 17 when he died. So that's why I wrote that song, All Gray. I don't know if I sent it to you.
You did. You did, actually.
My homeboy Omen.
Uh-huh.
He was shot close range with a shotgun to the chest. He was murdered. Um, and yeah, he passed away, and he's the one singing the hook on that song, All Gray.
Uh-huh.
And then my sister committed suicide, and then my marriage fell apart. That was all I had left was my children's mom. You know, the relationship I had with her, and I felt like I was cursed for a long time. So I kept people at a distance, and
Yeah.
I'm working on that now. You know,
I feel you.
because not everybody's evil. You know,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
and yeah. So yeah, I figured if I keep you at a certain distance, then when you leave or when you die on me, it won't hurt me, which is a lie. You know,
Right.
so I've pretty much segregated myself from my family, and I've become this loner who wishes to have family around him or people who care, right? But
But
I
you're
keep everybody at such a certain distance that I won't let them in. And I have trust issues,
trust
not
issues.
because I have had my heart broken many times, but
It's everything
I
you've been through
just
in your life.
I don't trust people because it's like, what's your interior motive? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I learned that when I was a kid. Like, what's your real motive? You know,
Yeah.
you say you want to be friends with me, but why do you want to be friends with me? Or what's your, you know what I mean? So I question things, and I observe things, and I look and I watch because I had to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I couldn't relate with you more. I agree with you 100%. I mean, as I told you before once, out of all the artists that I have been interviewing lately and their music that have graced my life recently, yours I find to be more relatively, I can relate to you more. So you saying that the trust issues and exactly what you just said. I mean, I 100%. That's me. I battle with that on a daily. Really, I've always been a loner, so I completely understand where you're coming from that
yeah,
aspect.
it sucks, don't it?
It does. You know what I
Like,
mean? It gets
it's a
it gets
blessing
it.
and a curse. You
It
know what I mean?
is. It
Because
is. It
at the end
really
of the day,
is.
you don't have anyone to answer to
No,
but
it's
God, right?
exactly
But then
because
at the same time, it sucks
it's
because
fear.
you're laying there alone,
Yeah,
and you just
it gets lonely.
that human instinct that God built into us to want to be touched or loved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is goes unfulfilled. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just how God said back in the garden when Adam, it is not good for man to be alone. You know what I mean? So He gave him Eve. You know, but
Yeah.
then Adam turned around and blamed Eve.
Right.
He blamed God and said, "God is this woman you gave me." After they ate the fruit in the garden, they kicked out of the garden.
Right. Right.
And then, so,
Well,
but yeah, no,
I relate to you 100%. So I know it is a struggle. Yes, I know what you mean completely. So that's wild, you know. We were definitely meant to encounter in this such way. You know what I mean? Definitely, I feel that God
no,
did
no doubt.
place us in our moment right now because of a reason. I mean, there's a purpose for everything He does. I do realize
Of course.
that. So
I agree.
I'm very honored. I feel very honored now, even more so than what I was before, to actually have this interview with you and be able to provide a platform that where you can tell your story, because this is definitely something that a story that I felt from the moment I first heard the first couple of tracks that you had sent me. Like I was intrigued. Like I was wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And it's crazy how I came across how I was introduced to your radio station. I was a guy that I've never met in person.
mhm,
One of the brothers I met through Christ on Facebook.
mhm,
He just sent me he happened to be tuning in to one of our church services.
uh-huh,
And then and he sent me I hadn't performed a song. I hadn't performed in 5 years, right? It's been like
right,
5 years since I performed any of my songs.
right,
And then I was my first concert back as a Christian, as a man of God, and and he sent me your link to your email, and
Yeah.
I just kind of was like, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna send it. He was like, just send it, bro. And I never meant to do it in my life, you know what I mean?
Really?
He's like, just send it, bro. Yeah. And he goes, you need to send your music. People need to hear your music. And I was like, nah, I'm cool, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to make money. Like, I just want to serve God and glorify God. You know. And
Right.
then so I sent it, and then needless to say, you know, here we are having an interview.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that your friend on Facebook had suggested, because yes, I agree. You definitely need to be heard. You're very talented.
It's a privilege to be part of that, of what God's
Absolutely.
using you to do.
Absolutely.
Because not everybody's obedient to the call.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about
but
that.
also, it's not just us or how to per se, for lack of a better term. It's not just the artist, but it's also the host of the show who's actually giving us that platform to do so, and that's a blessing within itself. That's waiting for you.
I feel honored. I'm happy to be able to help get your guys' words out.
I could have sworn there's a better way, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all I think about is coming up. But I gotta take it slow when these times are tough. I could have sworn there'd be brighter days, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all this time trying to change my views in memory of you.
As the load has my witness, the pain inside and shall speak this whole week without the pleasure, but the pain remains the same without the shelter from the rain. It's slowly driving me insane. The range, my heart's bleeding, cause these stitches in my heart are so deep. And 2 weeks I can't sleep, cause I'm trying to put this agony to rest. So I'm praying that your memory has never left in vain. My tears were shed lately, hoping that your spirit makes it to heaven and God safely. Your message is breathtaking while I'm trying to fill your shoes, feeling lost and all alone without a clue. I got the blues, yet I gotta keep on pressing, though I never forget. You're the one that held it down for me. Raise a boy to a man, wasn't old enough to understand. Now I'm standing in the darkness, drowning in this quicksand. I only got one love, still your memories alive, so precious I won't
I
cry.
could have sworn there's a better way, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all I think about is coming up. But I gotta take it slow when these times are tough. I could have sworn there'd be brighter days, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all this time trying to change my views in memory of you.
Still stressing while I'm thinking, so my mind's gone. It's all murky and cloudy, I can't see through the smoke. Even though I can't see, I'll proceed to let go. Cause I know deep inside you would have done the same for us. In time heals wounds, keep on looking at the sky and wishing upon a star, cause I'm thinking of you. Plus God, he chose the best, he took you, your soul's at rest. No more suffering, I see you in this life after death. My love for you will never change, not for diamonds or gold. It's so cold without your presence, yet your voice replaced. Every time my eyes close, I'm asking the Lord why. Even though I know the answer, this is how a thug cries. Keep on plowing through the crops. You're the spirit, I'm the vessel, so I cherished every moment with your name in my heart. I can't believe that you're gone. No more talking on the phone, cause you finally went home. My love remains
I
strong.
could have sworn there's a better way, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all I think about is coming up. But I gotta take it slow when these times are tough. I could have sworn there'd be brighter days, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all this time trying to change my views in memory of you.
Yet I'm having vivid pictures of how the time went. You're an angel God sent, though I'm missing your smile. Everybody's in grief without a sign of relief. If I sit down and think about it, the pain inside brings back good memories. My children made you laugh, you're the grain of sand, and I'm the hourglass. The time passed forever lasts, as long as I'm breathing. Find a reason to view the memories of you. Keep moving and living for God's sake, knowing that you're watching over me in every step that I take. A bone you can't break. When I meet the pearly gates, I'ma see your face again. Though for now, I'll immortalize your legacy. Now that's a promise that I'll keep till my soul vacates. You're my falling star, a part of me that turns to ashes, a vision of your fate. In my dreams I see your face, a privilege I keep safe.
There's a better way, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all I think about is coming up. But I gotta take it slow when these times are tough. I could've sworn there'd be brighter days, but today it seems all gray. With my eyes closed, all this time trying to change my views in memory of you.
In your bio, you had said that hip hop became a part of your life after you heard a song that your uncle had did. Would you say that your uncle is one of the biggest inspirations for you to start your musical journey? Would that be accurate?
Yeah, this is the same uncle that taught me how to bag up weed.
Oh,
you know,
wow, okay.
and so yeah, I looked up to him as a father figure growing up because I didn't have a father.
Right.
So he was my example of what a man was. You know, I thought a man was, you know, selling dope and making money and you know, having everything that you would see like on Menace to Society or something. You know,
right.
Boys in the Hood and, you know, on Belly or whatever. All those gangster movies. Like that was my life version of it. You know.
Right.
And from the houses being raided, our house being raided to, you know, stuff like that. And he was my example as a man. And so I looked up to him, you know, and I wanted to be like him. So when I got out from being locked up in juvenile for robbery of habitation, I got out. I heard this song called "Yesterday" that he did with Hooligan Entertainment. They were a local Southside group in San Antonio, a group from the Southside, and they sampled the song from the Beatles, "Yesterday." You know that song. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
Yes.
Right? Anyways,
okay. Yes.
I can't
Yes,
sing.
You could sing. Yes, you can. But let's not tell stories.
So they sampled "Yesterday" from the Beatles, and they had one of their camaradas sing it, and man, he killed it. He straight up killed that hook, right? And then my uncle rapped to it. My uncle and it was one of the dopest songs that I've ever heard in my life. I still think it's one of the dopest songs in my life I've ever heard.
Wow.
And that's what inspired me to want to start learning how to rap. By then, I already had two poems published in a book, so I'm a published author actually.
Awesome. No way.
14.
Okay.
Yeah, so at the age of 14, yeah. So the first poem I ever wrote was "Mama, I'm So Sorry." That poem got published. I got locked down for 72 hours writing that poem.
Really? No way.
So that poem got published, and then another poem got published right before I got out. It was called "The Soldiering," and I was asking God. I was asking. I look back at it now, and I actually was thinking like, wow, I was crying out to God before I knew I was even crying out to God. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was asking God, is there a way for someone like me to change, or is this just a path that I'm stuck in? You know, a revolving door. You know what I mean? Passed down from generation to generation. You know, like because all my family, you know, they were drug addicts, and you know what I mean. On my mom's side, you know what I mean. My dad's side, I didn't really know him. You know what I mean? Because I kind of strayed away from him. You know.
Yeah.
And it's not that they didn't want me around. It's just I was too busy dugging it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was a family curse, and I was asking God, like, can I change? Can you change me? And stuff like that. So yeah. So by the time I was 14, I was already a published author.
Awesome. What is there a way that we can let our listeners know about the publications, where to find them?
Yes, I actually have the books right here. Let me grab the books real quick.
Okay, not a problem. Take your time.
They are titled "Celebrate Young Poets Speak Out" in Summer 2005 edition, and the Texas Spring edition of 2005.
Okay, so that's perfect for our listeners that are listening. Would like to check those out. Those are the books that you can find his poetry published in. I'm definitely gonna look those up myself, since I'm interested in seeing what you had wrote. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can actually read you the last poem that I published.
Actually, yes, please do. I would absolutely love that.
So, it's actually called "The Sojourn." So, it goes, May I ask you a question? Ponder. I'm sorry. May I ask you to ponder upon my questions, some questions to understand my situation. Do you know how it feels to be guided down the path alongside the devil's wrath, where murderers, thieves, and drug dealers are his disciples, to destroy the legions of the earth and uprise a sinking curse, where every minute of every hour a person is devoured like quicksand, because that's the only way that you can show that you're a man. So can you visualize the anguish that is held inside? And if you can, are you despised to live in a land where cowards rule and fools reign over the wise? A land where victims search for help to feel relief, but help from men is far too brief. Now is there a path that won't mislead to hate and greed and allow to live a faith and creed? Is there a path of hope to seek when evil invades my spirit from within? Or must I remain on the path of sin?
Oh,
And I wrote that
wow.
when I wrote that in 2005. I was locked up in Bell County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program.
Oh, wow.
I was a ninth grader.
Yes, you
I was
definitely
in
have
ninth grade.
you have talent though. I mean, wow, that's, yes, I believe in you and your words. Like you definitely have something to say, and I know that it caught my attention, and I believe that this is a big way that's going to capture others, you know what I mean, other people's attention, just with the way you can, I dig your lyricism, you know what I mean, like the way you say you tell your story in such a way, but like it can make somebody feel like exactly what you were feeling when you wrote that. Does that make sense? Lyrical therapist. That's what
it should be. I think music should be that.
It's real music. Definitely.
You should be able to express yourself, and so it's definitely been an outlet for me. Words have since me being locked up when I was a kid. I was in and out of jail since I was 13, and I've been able to only express myself through words, and as I've grown older, the words have progressed, and my vocabulary has expanded, you know what I mean? Because I like to learn, and I love to learn.
Right.
And I think, that a man should always be learning, and a woman should always be wanting to learn more and more, not to be content with what's in front of them. God gave us this entire world, but yet we settle for this little slither of a pie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I do.
He gave Adam and Eve an entire garden, but yet we want to settle for a block. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
And my brother's doing 25 years in prison because he you want to rep a set. You know what I mean? It's like, so what? You do it your life, and that's how me and my brother were growing up as kids. We're in different gangs. Mm-hmm. He was a C13, and I was a blue bagger from the hood. And we lived in the same house. And I remember one time we got drunk and we took some Xanax and anything, and he straight up told me, he goes, if I had to kill you for my color, I would, And we got into a fight that night.
Oh, wow.
And ever since then, me and my brother never got along, all because of a color. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think about that. And the time and memories that we could have had. You know what I mean? Now, my children don't even know who he is, and his children don't even barely know who I am. And I'm barely starting to make a relationship with them. You know what I mean? He's locked up doing 25. Their mom, his kid's mom, you know what I mean, is strung out on meth, living in the woods somewhere.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I talked to my niece, the oldest niece, and she's suicidal. She's struggling. She don't know who she is. She don't know what her identity is. You know what I'm saying? She's going through this anguish when we as parents kind of have stepped aside and allowed hell to have our kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're the gatekeepers, and look what we're letting in the gate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now it's just stuff like that. So that's why my music is something you can relate to, because it's not. I ain't trying to fluff it up. Like, I don't know if you listen to some Christian rap. Some of these Christian artists, they're not even talking about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've noticed that actually lately.
And that gets on my nerves. It's because we're called to get people to know who Jesus is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. You know, and if you want to find dirt on me, you ain't gotta dig deep. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can find dirt on me, but what I've been through, I know the person that I see in the grocery store, you know what I mean, that looks me in the eyes, and you can see in their eyes that they've been through something, but they won't speak about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna speak about it, and only because what if that's you on that bridge?
Right.
And I won't stop to tell you, hey, you can have another life. You can have something better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what justice is it gonna do me? You know what I mean? Like if I don't tell you, like I can empathize with you. Not like I understand you. Not man, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But no, I empathize with you because I've been there. I wore those shoes. You know what I'm saying? You know, I wore that mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wore that mask. So.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm done wearing masks. I'm done putting on the mask to put up the front that I'm okay when inside I'm dying. You know?
Right. Let's speak a little bit more about your music. So there's a song that you had sent me. It's called One Last Time. Can I ask you who the woman that you spoke of in that song, who was she?
That was Priscilla.
Okay.
That was the mother of my children.
Of a woman, gave her life to something greater, at least she thought it was. Gave her heart to a boy at the age of 16, strung out on puppy love, living life in the streets, just the two of them. Thinking that her knight in shining armor finally came to rescue her. Her fairy tale quickly turned into a blur. The nightmare reoccurs every other night, cause he cheats and he beats her, leaves her for another as she's sleeping in their bed. She's pregnant with his child, but he doesn't seem to care. She gave herself to him, but he doesn't even love her. Yeah, he tells her that he loves her, but it's just an empty word. Reminded of the footsteps paving by her mother many years ago. The same family curse, now life is getting worse. Her heart is turning cold while she's pregnant with his second child.
So you don't need to waste your time. Just come to Christ.
Now she's barely 19 and a mother with two. She looks at others who look happy, wishing that she could be in their shoes. Cause she's tired of her life, tired that her children always watch her getting beat by a coward who claims to be a man, yet she stays cause she thinks that she's found a good excuse. All her life she's seen her mother get mistreated by men. If this is love, then I guess it's as good as it gets. Filled with bitterness and hatred and tons of regrets. All the sorrows bottled up inside the deepest chamber of her heart. Never knowing this is not the life that Jesus had intended. She was meant to be protected, respected, and loved.
So you don't need to waste your time. Just come to Christ.
Okay, so then let's talk about the song that you wrote, Just Maybe. What was your creative process while writing that one?
So I used to call so this lady in the former church I used to go to before my marriage fell apart. Miss Yolanda was her name, and I used to call her my church mom. You know?
Right.
She was pretty much. This lady was a lesbian her whole life, right? I was gonna say she was part of the LGBTQ community, right? And she dressed like a man, you know, and she acted like a man. And she partied like a man. Okay. But I used to call her my church mom because when she came to Christ, she fully surrendered everything to God. And she to the point where she started wearing dresses. She still wears dresses. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
She became feminine. She became feminine again.
Nice.
You know, and she let go of that lifestyle and started following God. And she was everything I ever wanted my mom to be. You know what I mean? My mom was a drug addict. My mom's still a drug addict. My mom's strung out on meth right now as we speak.
Oh, wow.
And she was everything I wanted my mom to be. She one day she came up to me after my sister passed. This was probably 2017, 2018, and she gave me a sermon from Pastor Scott Lamb. He's a preacher out of Las Vegas, Nevada. She goes, "You need to listen to this sermon," and I put it in. You know, I listened to it, and that's where I sampled the chorus. That's Pastor Scott Lamb, where he's preaching a sermon about this new couple, these new converts that had just come to Christ, you know, and they got into an argument. The wife said to her husband, "I wish you were dead," you know, and that's when he said, "All right, bet," you know what I mean? Just like my kid's mom would always say, "Why don't you do yourself a favor and kill everybody like your sister?" You know, so he went and grabbed a gun and boom, blew his head off, right? But what threw me for a loop was, so he's talking about how this new couple, they just come to Christ, right? And they get into an argument, and the wife tells him, you know, just kill yourself. So he goes, "Okay, cool." So he goes to his desk, pulls out a gun, and he blows his head off. And in that moment, and I heard that, you know, I was like, wow. You know, like we always say, you know, everybody says, okay, God's omnipotent, he's omnipresent, meaning he's everywhere at once. He lives outside of time. He's not confined to time as we are. You know what I'm saying? As we are. He's a spiritual being, you know? So if God lives outside of time, then can he also stop time and talk to someone, have a personal conversation one-on-one with somebody outside of time?
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Like you ever seen that Dr. Dre video, right? Where with Eminem when he first came out, was it My Conscience? Right?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Right. Okay. So it was like a God moment like that, but without Dr. Dre and Eminem in it, right?
All right. Okay.
So and I visualized it, and I was like, wow, like so. The way the song for word were an exact account of what happened the day I found out my sister killed herself.
Oh wow, really?
So I was at work. I used to work for CPS Energy, and I just pulled up to a job with my journeyman, and I got a phone call from my sister Alicia, my younger sister. She's the youngest of us all, and she called me. She's crying. She can't even put her words together, and then finally she spits it out. She's gone, and I'm like, I walked to the back of the truck, and I'm like, who's gone? What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Right.
Who's gone? And I can hear my mom screaming in the background, screaming to Jesus, "Jesus, not my baby, not my baby." And I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who's gone? I was like, who's gone, Alicia? And she goes, Rochelle. Rochelle's dead. She's gone. And I just, it's getting me emotional right now just thinking about it.
That's okay.
So I called my boss, and I was just like, I gotta go. My sister passed away. And, I remember calling my wife, and at the time we only had one vehicle, and she would take me to work and drop me off and pick me up. And it was raining that day. It started raining after I found out she died. And my family was just like, you need to hurry up and get here, you know. And so that day was just it's an account of what happened every day. I almost, in the song I say I swerved, I ran a red light, and I was just rushing to get to my mom's house. And it's in a word for word. As soon as I got there, like 5 minutes later, they pulled her out in a body bag. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and my mom's still screaming, "Jesus, not my baby, not my baby." And yeah, it was rough. That day was a rough day. It's an exact count.
Wow.
And I used that sermon, and Miss Yolanda gave me that sermon to use as a song. She goes, I think you can use this. She saw the potential of that of sampling that sermon and using it in one of my songs.
One night in the middle of the night, my friend gets a call. And the woman is hysterical. She's screaming into the phone, "You have to come, you have to come." So he comes over to their house, and he finds that in the middle of one of their arguments, she has said to her husband, "I wish you were dead." And he has said that can be arranged, reached into a drawer of his desk, pulled out a gun, and blew his head off. You gotta be careful what you say, period. What you say. Words have power.
Call it crazy, but just maybe this can alter the pain. Stimulate the nervous system as the fog dissipates into the archives of the memory. It's hard to see you in my dreams, all I see is a blur. Gathered pieces to the puzzle, but the nightmare reoccurs from that frantic morning call. Mama screaming in the background, begging Jesus for your life, not my baby. Jesus, not my baby. Hung up the phone, call my wife, come and get me, come quickly, be careful cause it's raining. Swerved and almost hit a car, running every red light. On my way to mama's house to see you with my own eyes. I get there, everyone is crying, but you're still in the house. EMS pulls you out on the gurney, yet your flesh is concealed. Hidden in a black bag, then reality kicks in. You're dead, no more breath of life. All you had to do was call, I would have been there through the night to talk you through it.
So is it possible that between the time that the man pulled the trigger and the bullet hit the bone, that God stepped in and stopped time and said to that man, "What are you doing?" That man said, "I don't know. You just shot yourself." "Yeah, I know. That was really stupid." "Yeah, I know." "Do you want to go to hell?" "No, of course not." "Do you want to be saved?" "Yeah." Pray this prayer with me. Pray this. Boom! Could that have happened?
Call it crazy, but just maybe this can alter the pain. As you were standing on that trash can, flirting with death, belt around your throat. Demon spirits in your ear, cheering you to go and jump as you take the quantum leap to step into eternity. I like to think Jesus Christ stopped the hands of time to tell you what you're thinking. You found a permanent solution to a temporary problem, yet there's time to repent before you struggle with the fixation. Imagine the conversation in the midst of the devastation. Could it happen? Maybe. The thoughts of redemption go deeper than time. Being loose from the bondage nanoseconds before you take a life that first of all was never really truly yours. Call it crazy, but just maybe I'm just thinking of you. Thinking back to the days before our innocence was stripped from us. In life you followed me everywhere except in Jesus Christ. Can I tell you? I like to think as you took that quantum leap to step into eternity, that Jesus Christ stopped the hands of time while you were in midair to tell you, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Do you want to go to hell? Do you want to burn and suffer and torment and weeping and gnashing of teeth forever? There's still time to repent before your body struggles from asphyxiation. Repent of your sins. Pray with me. Just pray with me. Just pray with me.
Tells a real deep story, and yeah, I'm like almost stunned for words right now because you're very inspiring as an artist, as a man. Just know that, and I respect you, and I see you doing amazing things with your music. Just letting your voice be heard and your story out is absolutely amazing. So I am very honored to be giving this interview with you today. Thank you again for agreeing to do it with me. Absolutely, I knew this was going to be a good one. You know what I mean? I knew.
I appreciate that.
Not a
At
problem.
least somebody thinks so, because to be honest with you, most of my music, nobody's really cared. Well, the congregation I used to be a part of would always talk crap about my music, and they really didn't care for it. My pastor would always tell me, "You left the C off your rap music," meaning it was crap music, not rap music.
Oh, wow.
That's what my pastor Les Upton used to tell me. you left the C off your music. You know what I mean? So he would always tell me my music was crap.
It's not.
So
absolutely not. That actually hurts my feelings to know that they do
messed me
that.
up a lot too.
Yeah, that hurts my feelings to know that these are, you know, your pastor, and they're supposed to be Christians, and they're just shaming and downing you on your talents, like your gift. I find that heartbreaking, actually.
It was rough. Like to the point where it had me so messed up in the head where I used to have to type my lyrics up because I would forget my lyrics. I would see him standing in the back when I would perform, and I would just my mind would go blank. So I would have to type up my lyrics and stand up there with a music stand and rap my lyrics because, you know, I was so messed up in the head that, you know, my music sucked and everything that God was giving me to write, because that's not me. You know what I mean? Like it's not my talent. It's the talent that God gave me. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And yes, it's just poetry and it's words, but you know what I mean? I never claimed it to be mine. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And for someone to just it messed me up big time. And he would always say behind this pulpit, "You left the C off your rap music." And so it was just so
wow.
It was just really hurtful.
I
could hear his voice. Even now, I could hear his voice saying, "Yeah, shut up, suck it up, buttercup." Or you know what I mean? Or
That's
saying
just
something
horrible.
Something but he came from a different era. You know what I mean? So you
But
can't
still,
really knock him.
well, no, of course not. But I mean, but still, he's supposed to be. I'm not going to speak too much on it because I don't know this man as a person or anything. But just from that, that's heartbreaking. You know what I mean? This is somebody that you looked up to help you your journey to finding, or your journey with changing yourself and healing and with the grace of God. And this person is just downing you. Like, it's heartbreaking to hear that. So.
Yeah, it is what it is. It
wasn't
just him; it was just other people too.
Well, exactly, but see,
even I guess that's why so long I waited so long, you know, and then procrastinated, you know, because I was always told like you just want to be famous, this and that, and that's why I said it earlier in the beginning of the interview, like I don't want to be famous. In reality, I really don't care to be famous. I don't care to make money. Right. You know, for the most part, I've spent money just to produce this music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I haven't made a dime off of this money, which is fine. But as long as somebody comes to know Jesus, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? If somebody gives their life to Christ because they heard a song that I sung, you know what I mean? That's worth more than gold.
That's worth it. Yeah, absolutely.
To me.
Absolutely.
So
I feel the same way with what I do. You know, if people ask me all the time, so why is it? That was my main goal when I'm starting in the industry. You know, it was to find and provide a platform for my people. You know, mainly because the Latin community. Because I mean, there are so many of them out there that have talent and real stories to tell and emotions to express themselves, but they never got the opportunity or chance. So that's what my mission was when I first started the industry, and I've obtained that. You know, now there's something just so much more with it. But I absolutely love and enjoy just being that outlet, being that platform for anybody, any artist. It doesn't matter, just that doesn't have that chance or opportunity to actually express themselves as an artist and tell their story, because everybody has a story to tell, and I think the perfect way is, why not tell it with the sound of a beat. You know what I mean? Okay, so I don't know if you can answer this one or not, but I mean, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
I didn't expect you to ask me something like that. It's so simple yet so difficult to answer.
Yeah, a little bit. I be sneaking some in on that once in a while.
You're flipping the table on me, okay? If I could change one thing about myself, what would it be? It would be my people skills.
Really?
Yeah, it would be my people skills, I think. Because in reality, you know, I'm only changing. If you knew me 5 months ago, I don't think you would like me, Angel.
Oh, I doubt that. But
I don't think we'd be having this conversation. You know what I mean? I was selling dope. I was on dope. You know what I mean? I was a very horrible person. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I can. And what I mean by people skills is that I don't sugarcoat anything.
Oh, well,
And
that's
I have
good.
no filter.
That's
And in today's day and age, I'm gonna call that. Let's call this an HR situation. You know what I mean?
I say
So,
it's being honest to the point of being brutal. I guess
yes,
I need to work on my people skills as well because I'm the same way.
yeah.
That's horrible.
So, okay,
Okay.
so we're in the same boat on this
We
one.
are
So,
definitely in the same boat, yes.
being more compassionate, I think, would be. You know
Okay,
what I mean? Showing
okay.
more love, showing more, just more humanity in me. Because
Thinking more about what we
cause,
say before we say it, more or less.
that what?
To think more about what we say and how we present what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
you.
because I do more talking. I do more talking before I do thinking.
I do.
And and then I try to eat the words, before
Yes.
I spew them out like venom.
Yes,
And,
I do the same thing.
but by then they do their damage.
No, you're right,
And
because words cannot be
my-
untold or unsaid.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, as a kid. Okay, so when you were a kid, you always say, "We're sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me."
Yeah, absolutely, but
That's the biggest lie we were ever told.
that is the truth. That is the truth because
Don't you
words
think?
can hurt.
Like-
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. So, okay, so we both have that in common as well. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, but no, the second thing that I would change is to stop being so lonely. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
So that
What I-
reflects
what I
back
mean.
to your trust to your trust issues that you said you had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know. Have you ever heard of NF? Have you heard
Yes,
his
I
music?
have actually. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so he has a song called "If You Want Love," right? Have you heard that song?
I actually have heard that song. Yes.
And he says if you want love, you're gonna have to give some away,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Wow.
And for so many years, Angel, I have not. I couldn't give love away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I allowed my marriage to fail. And I'm not gonna say it failed, because of this or that. And it failed because of me. And I'll take full responsibility for my actions. But I know that now I am forgiven for those actions.
Right.
But the Bible says for wives, right? Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands, but husbands to love your wives.
Right.
And do not become bitter. Do not become bitter with them.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Why would it say that, right? Why would the Bible say for husbands love your wives? I don't think I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to love. I mean, I knew somewhat of love because I watched. That was the whole purpose, right? My wife was supposed to be my helpmate.
Right.
I watched her love our children. I watched her love. I learned how to somewhat love, but I didn't love myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You never
So
were
how
taught.
can I love somebody? How can I love somebody as I love myself? As Scripture
Exactly.
says.
That's the truth of it.
But I couldn't.
That's what they say.
I couldn't because I didn't have love. So
No
I
one
think,
showed you love throughout your life is what I see of it so far with your you know what I mean? And that's that's technically not
the type of love I had.
it's not our fault though. Those that have grown up the same way, we don't know any better, you know what I mean? So
unfortunately,
yes, it is. It's
but at the same
unfortunate.
time, it's up to us to change that.
To change that, yeah.
We just don't know how.
Exactly.
You know?
So
And then
I feel you on
and
that
it
one
feels
too.
awkward, and
It does.
it feels awkward when you step outside of your comfort zone and try to do something. But not only white folks do that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that all reflects back to the trust thing. Like, you'd have to trust yourself and to trust others. You know what I mean? And then it all comes back to that lack of trust that you were speaking on, and or not wanting to be close to anybody. It's fear, really. It's fear. I think.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like that.
Because
fear.
because
You're absolutely right.
it's the fear of the pain or the whatever. We always want to see it as a negative because that's the only thing that we've ever been through is pain or something bad that happened with the people that we were close to or we allowed to be close to us. So it's fear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. I like how you said that. It gave me chills when you said that. And it made me think of I don't gotta tell my story. I let my wounds do it. You know what I mean?
There you go. Yes.
And that's what my music is. That's how my music is. It's showing my wounds. I'm showing you my wounds through my
Lyrical
music.
therapy. I'm saying.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay.
I like that though. It's fear.
All right.
It is fear.
It is fear.
So I must
Absolutely.
stop being so fearful. Can I stop
There
being
you
so
go.
fearful?
Yes, absolutely. That I agree with you on that one too. Okay. All right. So, what three words what three words come to mind when you describe what you are most grateful for?
What three words come to mind when I what? You
When
kind
you
of
when you
sounded far away.
when you describe what you're most grateful for, what three words come into your mind? You can only say it with three words.
Can only say in three words.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm most grateful for. I'm most grateful for the breath of life.
There you go. You said it. You
Breath
said
of
it
life.
right. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, one more question. Do you have if you had any advice to give those who have not found their faith in our God, what advice would you give to them? I mean, what do you have to say to those that are still struggling with their
Struggling.
faith? Yes.
So I could say I empathize how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't believe in a God, you know. I didn't believe that God existed. I was an atheist from a young age.
Mm-hmm.
But also, at a young age, at the age of 19, I met a God I didn't believe in.
Right.
And he gave me a joy and a peace that nothing ever fulfilled, you know. And he gave me the resources and tools to instill into my children that they don't have to live the same cursed life as their other family members.
Right.
I empathize that I don't always want to breathe, but I'm grateful for that breath of life because I get to see and make memories with my children. I get to be a father that I wish I had. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I get to be the son that I wish, you know, my brother was. You know, I get to get up every morning. I get to go to work and work my butt off.
Right.
And earn a paycheck to turn around and invest it in a life that went through some hell,
Right.
so that someone else could have heaven.
Oh, wow. I like the way you said that.
So
Okay.
I empathize, and before I would say I don't want to do it, but I'm glad to do it.
Right.
Just give me the beat and give me the platform, and let's conquer the world.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, let me tell you, again, I thank you so much for doing this interview with me because, yes, another very, very inspiring story that you have, and you're still going. You know what I mean? And that just gives me more faith in our God that there really is. I mean, I've struggled myself throughout the years. You know what I mean? I'm not all the way there yet. You know what I mean? I can't sit there and say I'm not gonna lie and say that I am because that's not true. I'm finding the light. Slowly but surely, you know what I mean? And the more and more I notice that, the more and more I listen to your guys or the Christian hip hop, R&B, rap artists, and associate myself with you, with everybody that's in this industry like that, and that part is it's helping a lot. I see now that God is real. I mean, beyond real. I've always known that, but now I see it.
Yes, don't believe the lies from the devil, Angel.
Oh, I don't.
Because
Yeah.
I know you don't have to tell me your story, your testimony, but just when I've seen your photos and I've seen your radio station, you see the pain in your eyes. And I know you've seen some stuff that you probably should have never seen as a child and as a kid and growing up. You know, probably been in situations you wish you never were in, but you made it through.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep going.
Absolutely.
Just keep going. When I first became a Christian when I was 19, I used to watch the men in the church, and I would watch them, how they treated their wives, right?
Right.
And I used to tell myself, I want to be like that man. So what did I do? You know what I mean? I started hanging around those men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I mimicked them, but I began to follow them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I stopped hanging around with the drug dealers. You know what I mean? I stopped going around the same places I know where I was getting in trouble with, or You know what I'm saying? I stopped going back to the hood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I lost relationships with people that I loved, but I gained new relationships with people who ended up loving me more. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And sometimes you have to cut out the people and make your stands, and you're not always going to be favored. You know, you're going to lose a lot of people, but in the end, it's worth it.
That's right.
Because would you rather be walking the streets of gold with Jesus Christ himself, or would you rather be burning in hell wishing God was there? You know?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, thank you again, Aziah, for your time, because just know it was greatly appreciated, and I feel blessed to have encountered you in my life.
Vice versa. Sitting here talking to you is
awesome.
It's a blessing. And I told you before, you really are an angel. You really are an answered prayer. So, and for everything away, it's trying to transpire. It's all from God, and God is using you as a vessel. So don't ever think you're not worth anything, because you're worth so much more than what you settle for.
You wake up to another day, same old thing, same old job, same old hurt, same old pain. Life isn't the way that you thought it would be, and your friends aren't the people you thought they would be. See the issues that you have, problems with your past relationships that never seem to last. Fill your heart with hurt, the pain is so bad. You think running to your sin is all that you have. And you see back and forth to your temporary pleasure, wondering why you're stuck in your life ain't getting no better. You should see the reason you feel your life has no purpose, reason for all your hurt, reason you're feeling worthless. It's only gonna bring you down, only gonna destroy you and everyone around you. Jesus Christ is the one who can change you. So repent of your sins and let him use you.
Now I know you heard it once, but you gon' hear it once again. This is real, cause it's the truth. Why you caught up in the moment, you get swept up off your feet into the belly of the beast, laying waste in the heart of the storm, thinking where did I go wrong? I don't know why, I don't remember. Maybe life can be a movie like it was in Sweet November, seeking compliments and pleasure with no depth to be measured. Beauty's only skin deep compared to the contents of your character.
You wanna live in sin, back and forth to your temporary pleasure, wondering why you're stuck in your life ain't getting no better. You should see the reason you feel your life has no purpose, reason for all your hurt, reason you're feeling worthless. It's only gonna bring you down, only gonna destroy you and everyone around you. Jesus Christ is the one who can change you. So repent of your sins and let him use you.